Although we are sharing this year's events virtually, the festival is based in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, and we respectfully acknowledge the land on which we gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk, whose culture has been lost forever and can never be recovered. We also acknowledge the island of Uktahumguk, Newfoundland, as the unceded traditional territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq, and we acknowledge Labrador as the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Innu of Ntsinan, the Inuit of Nunatsiavut, and the Inuit of Nunatuhavut. We recognize all First Peoples who are here before us, those who live with us now, and the 7 generations to come. As First Peoples have done since time immemorial, we strive to be responsible stewards of the land and to respect the cultures, ceremonies, and traditions of all who call it home. As we open our hearts and minds to the past, we commit ourselves to working in a spirit of truth and reconciliation to make a better future for all.
Hi there, my name is Elizabeth Demariafi. I'm a writer based here in St. John's, and we're talking today with Milica Tomovic. And I want to begin by saying, although we're sharing this year's festival events virtually, the festival is based in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, and we respectfully acknowledge the land on which we gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk, whose culture has been lost forever and can never be recovered. We also acknowledge the island of Uktahumguk, Newfoundland, as the unceded traditional territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq. And we acknowledge Labrador as the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Innu of Nitassinan, the Inuit of Nunatsiavut, and the Inuit of Nunatukavut. We recognize all First Peoples who were here before us, those who live with us now, and the 7 generations to come. As First Peoples have done since time immemorial, we strive to be responsible stewards of the land and to respect the cultures, ceremonies, and traditions of all who call it home. As we open our hearts and minds to the past, we commit ourselves to working in a spirit of truth and reconciliation to make a better future for all. So, congratulations on this wonderful film, Celts. I loved so many things about it, so it was really hard to narrow down to just a few questions, but I know we're going to have a great conversation.
Okay, that's good.
Let me start with the moment in time in which the film is set, 1993. So I'm going to guess that in 1993, you were probably more like Mia's age. So what made you, as a co-writer and director, what interested you about setting a film in that particular moment, rather than say later in the war or now in the present?
Well, to be honest, I don't know. I was searching for a story that could be done like easily, and I wanted to do like an ensemble cast movie. This was the idea, the starting point. And then I thought to myself it should be in one place and that it should be around some event. So I dug down my past, and I remembered my 8th birthday party, which I had with my friends for the first time. I mean, friends, classmates, how you would say. And it was a disaster. And because it was a disaster, it was stuck to me for a very long time, and I didn't want to celebrate my birthday party until I turned 15. So the decision of 8-year-old me is much bigger than 35-year-old me now, because I cannot even hold to the diet, I cannot like hold to that decision. But yeah, and I remember that birthday party, and then I was like, okay, why not settle it in 1993? I'm at age that my parents were right now. I'm in their age, and I can understand them much, much better. So, and I can write them in a different kind of way, looking through my friends and everything. It was some kind of self-reflection through my parents' eyes, like dealing with this event when I was 8 years old, and dealing with also past our period of time that was very, very hard. And the war in Yugoslavia was held in, Croatia, Bosnia, and also Slovenia in the beginning. So it was a difficult period of time, and Serbia was under hyperinflations. And this was what was interesting to me, that how my parents and their friends coped up to lead some regular lives, you know, and how they wanted to make how to make it seem that it's effortless, you know, to their kids, you know. Oh, of course we're gonna have a birthday party, we're gonna do it, even though everything is double as hard, but you're doing it. You're like, I don't know, friends are making cakes, you're making costumes out of, you know, things you have in your kitchen or whatever, you know. So that is why, yeah, it's a bit from personal level, but also a lot of imagination put into those colorful characters.
I just to riff on something you just said, you were looking for a specific kind of project and you wanted to settle it around an event. And what I love about the structure of this film is that it's actually parallel events almost. I mean, the event is Minya's party, but there's this parallel adult party going on in the kitchen and outside at the same time. Do you want to talk about that structure just a little bit about because in terms of what you just said, you could, in theory, make a story that is just the parents trying to deal with making things normal or pretending they're normal. But, instead you have, the extended family and friends and all these sort of adult complications going on at the same time as there's a lot of child complications and power plays. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, well, let me think about it. I think that the structure itself was kind of built when I was starting to write. So, and I started to write in a way that I wanted to gaze, to kind of glide from, or slide, I don't know what the term is better, from children, adults, teenager, grandmother. So it's, and to slide or glide, to be effortless, to not even notice, so that somehow, and it's more, that's why I brought in Fija actually, because I knew that I wanted to have some spectator of events, and he was like a witness, and the things that he's witnessing, it changes him forever. And it's different than Minya, because to Minya things are happening to her that are changing her forever, also to teenagers and adults. But for Fija, the thing that he witnesses changes him, not something that is directly towards him, but the thing that he views. And this is this is a similar position to viewers, how they get into one room, get out from the room, and I hope so that we achieved that. But that was the thing that I wanted the most, and this is why the exposition of the movie is so long, because I just wanted for us to get to know each character, so that we finally see them, what they're coming to. You already know them. You want to know their story.
So the movie begins with Mariana, the mother, taking her husband's impotence into her own hands, kind of, right? And there's a real recurring emphasis on women's bodies and women's desires and women's voices, right? So whether it's Mariana's masturbation or Tamara's menstruation or Anka's desire to have a baby, and Anka's got that big loud voice, and I just really I enjoyed seeing each of them making a mark that felt very physical to me. So at one point, Mariana leaves the party and there's that scene where the pail of paint falls off a truck. And I love this, that she then dips her feet into it and she literally makes a mark, right? She makes her mark on the street. What was important to you when you were crafting those scenes, those what felt to me very physical, very visual scenes that were about women's desires?
I think that the best thing that when you're making a movie and when you point out that there is this physical female desire, is that you're not aware of it. You just write it down because you feel like writing it down, never with some, greater thought of itself. It just goes naturally to you. I mean, to me, because I'm a woman. I don't know, but you know, you want to see these things on screen, and you want to film it, and you know them so well, so you don't have to put so much research in it. You know, you just write it from your, I don't know, stomach or you know, brain or whatever. There isn't that much thought put in it. There are some things that are done very intuitive because they come from your characters, and the characters come from you. So these are the things that are very actually very plain. Is it plain? Is it a good word to explain what I've meant?
Yeah, I think intuitive makes sense. I feel that way in my own writing, especially as you say about women, that sometimes those complications just come into it. But yeah, but I loved there was just a real visual physicality to all of them that was so plain to me.
But mostly, for example, nobody asked me about the period, the menstruation that the teenager gets.
Yeah.
Tamara, mostly people ask me about masturbation, some sex scenes, etc. But this is the one that I like the most. The you know, when you're a teenager and you get a period and you cannot even talk about it, it's a bit shameful. You can only share it with your friends that are females. Yeah. And to say it to professor, it's kind of, you know, but you are all blooded till you're, you know, till here, you know, and you cannot tell to anyone, and your mom is asking you to pick up some groceries, and you're like, oh, groceries. No, and it was very important for me to make it as bloody as it is, you know. Mm-hmm. And it's not that bloody, but you know, it's a nice bloody.
Yeah, no,
it's knickers also.
It's a great punctuating scene and a great entry point for that character, because she enters the movie with a secret or a complication that nobody else knows about, right? Where she comes in, and this thing that's happened where she has to change her pants and it's an ordeal. Her grandmother doesn't know about it, and they just sort of assume one thing about her behavior, and it sets up the conflict between them, I think, really nicely for the entire film as a result of that, right? And it's something that the viewer gets to be privy to that Mariana doesn't get to be privy to.
Yeah. That's that is so true. Oh. I will steal that. When somebody asks me for that scene, you know.
So the title Celts comes from one of the sort of amazing explosive moments in that kitchen party, right? And there's a lot of political arguments in that kitchen, right? There's, you know, socialists and anti-socialists, and then Goran comes and he's an anarchist, and so it's this great ensemble with lots of big feelings and passions. But the movie begins on Mariana, and I noticed, I looked up a couple of reviews, and the film tends to be reviewed as though Mariana is the protagonist, that she's the main character. Did you mean for her to feel like the main character? And is that why you let off with her? Or did you mean for it to feel more like an ensemble, like more like a, almost like a view from above of all these different relationships? Or both, I don't know.
I wanted, of course, I wanted for her to be protagonist also there, but mostly it's really an ensemble movie. But do I have to define, you know? But I like the idea for them to show that these characters, mom and dad, shows their small world, their routine that they're living from the beginning, from creating sandwiches, or to their friends that are coming in, and the brother, and brother's boyfriend, etc., etc. And so this is also some kind of like building from these two, just building up this microcosmos that becomes ensemble cast. And then when they all leave, then they're just the core, the family. In the end, we are left with Fija, who, as I said, in a way represented the view of us, but also the one that is a bit a part of the family, and who, with all this all this information that he gathered, that from his point of view, it's not so much happiness. Yes, there were these first breaths, some gay kisses, it was also nice, but but also he had a disaster, his pants, and nobody invited him to sing happy birthday except for grandma. So he's a bit of outcast, but he has a chance to kind of climb the tree and just to see that there's much more than this event that happened just once. So there is a kind of a hope for everyone, but for me, Fija also, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was really interested in that. The movie begins on Mariana but then ends on Fija, and Fija's almost like sometimes he's kind of a comic relief in the movie, right? Because he's having
he's really
he's got a lot going on. He's trying very hard. But at the same time, he's so heartbreaking, right? Because he's so cute and everyone's so mean to him, except for the grandmother, really. So yeah, I was really interested in your choice to end on him. But it makes sense to me if we look at him sort of as the viewer's proxy, right? If we think of him as us in the film, as this sort of witness who is struggling through, then I guess he provides a little bit of hope towards the end.
Yeah, certainly. I'm always for hope. There is always hope. However dark may be, there must be hope.
I want to talk a little bit more about the children, actually. So, Mariana leaves the party because she is tired of everybody, I think. And then there's this moment where all the adults realize that she's left the party and they all leave to go find her. And there's this, it's not explicitly addressed, but this sort of abdication where the children are like the kids are just left in the house.
Yeah.
The adults have all been drinking and they're all sort of out in the street now trying to find the mother. The mother has completely abdicated. And then she comes back and there's this great scene with the cake, right? Which is a continuation, I think, of that abdication moment, right? So everyone leaves them there, but when they come back, they're not able to do whatever it is, right? So, she gets shoved into the cake gets smashed, and then the men who have all been standing there not even knowing we're not supposed to cut the cake yet are like, well, what are we going to do? And she says, well, we turn off the lights, we'll serve it, they won't notice. There's nothing else to do, right? So, and that moment of where she has left, everybody else seems sort of bumbling compared to her, and she comes back in, and in a way I'm talking more than you are right now.
No, that's good. No, sorry, that is always better, believe me.
But what a grounding moment where in the midst of this, she's going to have to make this very grown-up decision, which is, well, there is nothing else to do, right? There is nothing else to do. The cake is wrecked, but we have to serve it anyway. And that's what they have. That's what these kids have. So I guess I want to just hear your thoughts a little bit on that sort of, the adults are so, in some ways, nihilist, in this moment of crisis. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts a little bit on that, on this sort of abdication where the kids are concerned.
Yeah. As now listening to you, I had some ideas how to answer this. I think that I don't know about abdication. Let me search for the word. I think abdication, like they are left aside. No, what's the meaning of the word abdication?
When I say abdicate, I mean they sort of like it's not so much like neglect or abandonment, but they kind of just like give up their responsibility as adults, right? And so they seem in the moment almost incapable of fulfilling that responsibility.
Yeah. That is true. Well, what I wanted to do is that when Mariana leaves, that she leaves unnoticeably, and that how they are all into their own things, problems, very egoistic. They don't notice until the thing starts to fall apart. And when the thing starts to fall apart, this is when they realize that Mariana mother is gone, and where is she? And then the daughter notices that she's not there, and then they realize, oh, okay, we have to take over this in some kind of a way, and they don't know how to do it. It is naive. It is a bit of a slapstick, actually, when I think about it. But it's okay because they are so drunk. There are so lots of things in them. So this is okay for them that is happening in a much more level than it is real. But it's kind of a way that it happens to Fija. That's the part that how do they cut the cake? It's at some point it seems so I don't know, not capable for them to do it, as it is for Fija to dry off his pants. When you're in that kind of complex, I don't know how to say, drunk maybe. These things are hard. But what I wanted to say for the cake, when Anka pushes her onto the cake, I think this is important that the idea that comes to her mind that they would turn off the lights because from the first time that power went off, so certain things happened in the night that are kind of forbidden, or I don't know, or hidden from other eyes. So you can do it also with the cake, for certain. But also, this is the thing that I was talking about in the beginning, that even the things that are rough and not right and not whole, you have to think of something, some way to make it work, as it was at that period of time. It can be related to the whole situation. Even though the cake is broken, you have to serve it, and you have to think of some kind of improvisation how it can get right, and in the eyes of and this is the interesting thing, that in the eyes of grown-ups it went okay for the cake, but all the kids notice, it wasn't it wasn't the cake is awful and they are not going to eat it. But in the eyes of grown-ups, they're like, oh, we did it, we did such a great job. So
yeah, I mean, and so much in the story falls on Mariana's shoulders, in terms of like being the mother to everybody in some ways, right? So like there's the father who is struggling with his own feelings. I mean, his impotence in all the ways, right? Like he just obviously feels very powerless in lots of ways, to the point where his wife cutting her hair short is emasculating to him, and the scene in the beginning where he goes and gets the three-legged dog for them to play with at the party, and then we never see the dog again. Like the dog was just like, no, thank you. not doing that. Yeah, and then with the cake, where the two men are sort of standing there going, "How do we cut it? How do we cut it?" And you can hear Anka calling from the other room, "You don't cut it yet," right? Like, so just that sort of that feeling of all the women having to mother everyone, but you know, obviously, especially Mariana. So this is your first feature, and I wanted to just ask a little bit about that leap from short films to feature. You know, what I mean, what was, I guess, what made you want to do this particularly now, and what did you find the biggest challenges of moving from short to feature?
Oh, I wanted to do it for a long time, just couldn't do it because we didn't get the budget. But I wanted to, wrote some other script actually, which I wanted to be a first, but it is good that it's not first because the script was not that good. So I thought of this low budget movie. And I don't know. I mean, I'm working as a second AD for a long time, also as a casting director. So I kind of know movies and how they are in production, and also did some series. So it wasn't some huge leap because I'm in movies for a long time, just in different kind of role. And the different thing is it's just much bigger, but for me I prepared for the short one as much as I did for the long one, so it didn't have some kind of changes. It just lasted a long time to shoot, and and in the short movies you have this kind of comedity. Is it a word? Yes, it is, I think. No? Yeah, like you can do a lot of shots and you can take time and you can think about it.
Yeah,
But when you're doing a long, then you have to just be quick and just you have to move along because you don't have that much time, so it's much more stressful. But then again, there are so much possibilities, and I don't know, I enjoy it. I really did. So don't know how to say. I prepared a lot, and I like doing rehearsals with actors, and this is what I like the most. So I enjoyed every minute of it, but it was also stressful. You know, when you make a first film and you edit it, and we edit it for a long time, you get scared that is anybody gonna watch it, and why do we make it if nobody's gonna watch it, and this kind of tension, you know, with short movies. Oh, it's okay if nobody watches it. But with this, you know, you took so much time of everyone, of each part of your crew member, from the actors. You said it to me, oh, you were great, we did a wonderful job, but if no, what if nobody sees it? Then you're devastated. Yeah, it's much high risk, much higher
yeah,
risk.
higher
Yeah,
stakes.
yeah. Higher stakes. Yeah. Oh, my English.
No,
Sometimes
your English is fantastic.
it goes bad and it goes good. It depends of my brain skills.
Well, it looks like the reception has been excellent. So you don't have to worry.
No, I don't worry that much after a few festivals, and you know, when I saw audience and that they were curious and they asked a lot of questions, then I was like, oh, this means a lot to my soul. And this is really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
The
a
best.
fantastic film. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I just want to thank you so much for being here virtually. I know this is not what we all want in terms of our way of celebrating things in the world. I feel the same way right now because I'm doing a lot of virtual festivals. But it was so good to get to talk to you in person and live instead of in any more, I guess, videoed way.
Yeah. And your bedroom is beautiful.
It's actually, it's my office. This was my daughter's bedroom, but now she has an apartment of her own. So.
Oh, good. You can take a rest after writing.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Milica Tomovic. Celts
Thank you.
was fantastic. Thank you.